My husband's mistress told me she would be taking my place, but she was devastated when she learned she's not the only one. And now she's asking for my advice on how to handle it. 4 months ago, my husband practically begged me to take a job at his company. He said it would be amazing for us to spend more time together during the day, that we could have lunch dates and drive home together. I thought it was the sweetest thing he'd ever done. I applied, got the position, and honestly thought it was one of the best decisions we'd made as a couple. The extra money was great, but seeing him throughout the day made me feel like we were dating again. Last Tuesday, I was loading groceries into my car in the parking lot when this woman from accounting approached me. She looked nervous, kept glancing around like she was being watched. Her hands were literally shaking. She said we needed to talk about my husband and Samantha from sales, that everyone in the office knew about it except me, that she felt terrible watching me smile at him in the hallways while he was sneaking around behind my back. I actually laughed, told her she must be confused. My husband would never do that to me. We'd been together for 12 years, but something about the way she looked at me made my stomach drop. That night, I casually brought it up to him, just mentioned that someone said something weird at work. I expected him to be angry, to be confused, to defend himself. He didn't even try to deny it. He just sat there on our couch, the one we picked out together, and said, "I need excitement. You're my wife, and I love you, but she's different. She makes me feel young again." I sat there in complete shock. He kept talking, saying every man needs something new and exciting, that it didn't mean anything, that I should understand because we've been together so long. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just stood up, went to our bedroom, and called a divorce lawyer. Filed the paperwork the next morning. Here's where it gets absolutely wild. 2 days after I served him the papers, I heard a knock on my door. It was around 7 in the evening. I opened it to find Samantha standing there, the woman from sales, the mistress. Her mascara was running down her face in thick black streams. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. Her eyes were puffy and red. She asked if we could talk. I should have slammed the door in her face, but I was curious, so I let her stand on my porch while she explained through sobs. Turns out my husband had been telling her for months that he was leaving me for her, that I was cold and distant, that our marriage was dead, that she was the love of his life and he was just waiting for the right time. He'd been making her feel special, chosen. Then 3 days ago, she found a text on his phone while he was in the shower from Kristen in HR. Same exact messages he'd been sending to Samantha. The pet names, the promises, everything. She confronted him right there in his apartment, and he completely broke down, started crying, begging her not to leave. Then he admitted there was also Andrea from accounting, and 2 other women from different departments that Samantha didn't even know the names of. She stood on my porch, literally sobbing into her hands, asking me how I dealt with it, how I stayed so calm at work, how I managed to keep showing up every day knowing what he was doing, if I had any advice for how to confront him. I just stared at her for a long minute. This woman who'd been sleeping with my husband for over a year, who thought she was special, who actually believed his lies about me being the problem. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "You want my advice? Stop being the other woman to 4 other women. That's my advice. You're not special." Then I closed the door and locked it. I could hear her crying on my porch for another 5 minutes before she finally left. My lawyer called me an hour later, barely able to contain her excitement. Apparently, Samantha had reached out to Kristen and Andrea after leaving my house. All 3 of them compared notes, found 2 more women he'd been involved with. All 5 of them agreed to provide statements for my divorce case. Text messages, emails, hotel receipts, everything. My lawyer said it was the most documented case she'd ever seen in her career. My husband showed up at my door yesterday begging me to drop it, saying it would ruin his reputation at the company, that I was being vindictive and cruel, that he made a mistake. I told him he should have thought about that before he turned our marriage into a recruiting event. The HR department called this morning. They fired him for workplace misconduct. Apparently having 5 ongoing affairs with coworkers violates company policy.